Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. I'm very excited to introduce you to my next guests. I have with me Ken Buckles and his lovely wife, Melinda Buckles. So nice to have you here. You are representing Remembering America's Heroes, which is your nonprofit that you started, and you're also a Milwaukee Mustang, which Ken and I went to high school together, and it's been a lot of years, but I've been following what you've been doing, Ken, for a long time, and the Remembering America's Heroes is a really, it's a moving nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that I don't think anybody is not moved by the work that you're doing, really. So maybe you could just tell our viewers a little bit about what Remembering America's Heroes is all about and why you started it.
Well, it's about getting high school kids to honor our country's veterans and to teach them that the cost of freedom comes at a very high price, that we need to thank these men and women who have served, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. It doesn't matter if you think the war was right or wrong, you know, it's just thank you for serving. And I started it because I went back to Milwaukee and I was a PE teacher and a coach and weight training and head football coach, and halfway through my career, my father, who was a Marine in the Korean War, took his life, and we know now that it was the post-traumatic stress, and knowing that when I was growing up, and it just literally destroyed my mother, and she was gone in 3 years, and she was only 54 years old, as was he. So that spearheaded it, and it's been absolutely amazing. It's this will be the 20th year I've been involved with Living History Days. Over 40 high schools, some of them around the United States. I'm very happy and excited that Reynolds High School picked up the torch. We brought it to them 5 years ago, and it's an ex-Mustang who's helped organize it.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Mike Anderson, and he's now the vice principal. He's just done an amazing job, and I bring famous veterans from around the country there, and that's Friday, November 6th. If you're interested, call the high school. It's amazing. They do an amazing job.
So is that in the morning? Is that?
It's all day. It's the whole school day, and.
So if people can come, is there any particular time they should be there, or what?
They should call the high school, Reynolds High School, and ask for information. Veterans are definitely invited. There's a continental breakfast, there's classroom sessions, there's lunch, and then we top the day off with an assembly of honor where the veterans will walk into the gym with a standing ovation. And
I mean, even hearing about it gives me chills.
Amazing.
It makes me want to start crying because I can imagine there are a lot of tears. Melinda, you go to these, right?
Oh, yes.
So, tell me, as Ken's #1 supporter in this.
I am his #1 supporter. Actually, he has hundreds, thousands.
But you're #1.
But I'm #1.
So you're #1.
I started before we got married. I didn't know Ken. I just knew that he represented Remembering America's Heroes. And I had a son, I have a son, Nike, that was one of the students and brought me to the school for one of the programs. That program encouraged me to get involved with the program. And I brought my tap dance group to do just a numerous amount of songs of tap dance for one of his shows. And then I taught the teachers at Milwaukee High School, these boots are made for walking, and we all did that song with the wigs and everything, and it was just amazing.
Rented blonde wigs, mini skirts, and go-go boots.
So fun.
So Nancy Sinatra lookalikes, huh?
Yeah, all of us.
Oh, how fun.
They were fun to work with.
So it's not all tears, it's some happy, fun moments during the assemblies as well.
No, it's it's every emotion, every emotion.
So you're totally wrung out when the thing is over, right?
It's every Living History Day at every school we've done, there's always many, many veterans that have come for the first time, and they include World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and now, of course, we've got young ones from Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're just so moved to tears. Some of them said it's the greatest day of their life. I mean, just
get me going here.
The testimonies that we've had over the years, thousands of letters and cards from veterans all over. It's incredible.
fulfilling that
The
must be.
healing, well over 100 veterans from mostly World War II and Korea that went on and got post-traumatic stress counseling because of Living History Day.
Really?
The Vietnam vets, of course, were learning all about that, and as we know now, it's a crisis with our younger vets. We've created a whole nother generation, and what's so sad is the suicide rate is breaking daily, weekly, monthly records, and it's so sad.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
They've done something for us yet.
Yeah.
They have a hard time getting the help that they need afterwards. You brought some pictures, and I'm thinking we should take a look at those from, some of the events that you've been involved in. So
Okay.
let's see if we can
Great.
tell us what we're looking at.
This is an amazing picture. The man in the middle down there in the wheelchair is Frank Woodruff Buckles. He was America's oldest living World War I veteran. He's 109 in that picture.
Jeez Louise.
He passed away at 110 years old.
And the name is Buckles, which is the same as yours, so...
Yeah, great uncle.
that was your great
Amazing
uncle.
man. He was also a prisoner of war during World War II with the Japanese at Los Banos prison camp. He lied about his age at 16 and was sent to France and drove an ambulance. Then, of course, you see me on the far left. The whole back row are veterans from the Blackfeet Nation. There's some couple Vietnam and couple Desert Storm. And they've been coming to, driving down from Montana every year for 7 years now. And they're just a great bunch of guys. The guy on the far right is Don Loudner. He is the national commander of the American Indian Veterans Association, and he's from South Dakota, a Korean War veteran. The guy next to him is an Apache Vietnam veteran, Robert Delsai from Arizona. The guy in the red jacket is Russell Davis, 3-star general, lieutenant general from Washington, D.C. He's the president of the Tuskegee Airmen. His father was a Tuskegee Airman.
Really?
So
That is history right there, that whole bunch there.
Left to right is Craig Falcon, Keith Heavy Runner, Bruce. Bruce Running Crane, Dale Heavy Runner, Walter Running Crane, Silver Star Vietnam, Bill Oldchief, and George Rutherford.
Wow, good memory.
All right, the next one is at a Living History Day in 2008, and those were all the Tuskegee Airmen and their spouses, and most everyone in that picture is gone now. Alex Jefferson on the left there is the only one that still travels. He'll be 94, and we're hoping and praying that he can come to Oregon for one last time in November. Of course, you see my beautiful wife there
Yes,
on the
yes,
right, and
I
then me in the back. But, and our pastor, Probasco, is in the middle in the background.
Yes.
So that's at Milwaukee High School.
I bet you make some amazing friendships, don't you? With
Oh,
some of these
amazing
people?
friendships. Then this was at a Living History Day during a lunch. That's, of course, Bill Holloman came to everything for, 18 years until he passed away from Seattle. And he was the technical and historical advisor for the movie Tuskegee Airmen and Red Tails.
Wow.
And then on the right there, of course, is Lieutenant Colonel Alex Jefferson. He's from Detroit, and he was shot down during World War II and spent the rest of the war in Stalag Luft 3, which any of the history nuts out there that was the camp of the Great Escape.
Really?
And
Oh,
he
wow.
was put in that camp 5 months after the Great Escape. So we're hoping that he'll be here in November.
You got an amazing memory for this stuff, don't
Now that is,
I recognize that guy.
That's me in my younger days, and President Clinton and Senator Robert Dole next to him, and then, I don't recall his name, but he's a Vietnam veteran, and he is the founder and owner of FedEx. But when they said we need to build a World War II memorial, I went to our teachers and administration at Milwaukee High and said, let's be the first high school to raise this. And the opposition was stiff. We're not raising money and send it back to Washington, D.C. And I said, well, let me see how the kids feel about it. So at a pep assembly, they went nuts and said, yeah, we'll do it. They raised $10,000. We were #1 in the nation.
All right, go Milwaukee.
And we're still on the registry. You go back there now, it's because of Facebook, these people, I went back to Washington, D.C. and saw the World War II Memorial, know that we have a piece there. And they invited us to honor us, and another teacher got to go, and 5 Milwaukee High students.
Wow.
And that was, we were in
special.
line shaking his hand. So
Nice, nice. You know, you, yeah, I think that's all the pictures. But speaking of honors, you are going to be inducted into, what is it, the
International Educators Hall of Fame,
Yes.
I mean, how cool is that?
which is in Los Angeles next month. The reason why is I've always felt it was extremely important to teach our young people that the men and women, veterans of every race, have served and fought and died for our country, clear back to the Great Revolutionary War. And so I've always brought in veterans of color, you know, Navajo Code Talkers, Tuskegee Airmen, Japanese American. So there was a Mexican American Veterans Association of Los Angeles that just thinks this is the greatest thing in the world, and they've got World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and now Iraq and Afghanistan. They bring up about 15 people every year. And so one of them nominated me for this a year ago and had to go through quite this process, and then I found out this summer, and it's like, wow.
You know, and it is an honor, but you know, some of those groups have never been really recognized very much. I mean, now more people know about Tuskegee, but you know.
No, they weren't.
You know, the Native Americans, and you know, people didn't think about the fact that, yeah, they were there too, you know.
Well, what's amazing, out of every 1,000 Americans, 1 American will serve in the military. It's out of every 88 Native Americans, 1 will serve.
Wow.
They have the highest service record, and they're very, very proud of it.
And they should be,
Yeah.
So how beautiful that you are doing this to help recognize them. And tell me about this jacket. I have to find out about this jacket.
Well, this was a big surprise about 6 years ago. I guess the veterans of the chosen few, Korean War veterans, took 3 years collecting patches from many veterans, and one of the wives, Audrey Rumpakis, hand sewed all these on.
It's pretty amazing.
They presented it to me at an assembly of honor at Milwaukee High, and it was incredible because there are many, many very famous ones, and most of the ones that gave me these are gone. And so it's
pretty special.
It's really special. And one thing that really changed the nature was when Melinda got heavily involved. We're going on 10 years of marriage now and 11 years being together. But she said, I used to bring in just the veterans, and she said, where are the wives?
Oh, good job.
And so the next year we brought in all the wives, and what that did was take it to a whole new level, and
Good for you.
They did.
Good for you.
everyone became like a family.
Well, some of the wives had never heard the stories.
Really?
They knew that they were talking about it, but
Yeah.
they had never just sat there and listened to their husbands.
They've probably never been invited to.
Exactly.
So she
They're
made
wonderful.
many, many good friends.
Very
Well, we
good
all
friends.
have, and in fact, you even took them on a special day once. Tell them about that.
Oh, we while they heard the stories, this was the second visit, and we had a whole nail day, a hair day, and a shopping day, and then we met back up with the fellows.
They were in heaven.
So good now.
These ladies are so special because they're like 75, maybe even in their 80s.
Yeah,
I don't even think they were in their 70s at the time, maybe in their 80s.
late 70s,
Late 70s, 80s.
and
So it was really special for them to get the attention.
That's special for you too, I imagine, just being able to be with them and
Yes.
yeah.
Well, it also realized that, and she would bring this up many times, that so many spouses have lived with the veterans that had the post-traumatic stress. And that's anger issues and sometimes alcohol issues, and there's a lot of rough times. And so because of Melinda's idea, she said, let's start recognizing the spouses, and we'd say, you deserve a medal too. And
Some of them have gone through their own war, just being.
yeah.
Exactly.
In fact, we're very close to the Chosen Few organization because my dad would have been with them, the Korean War. And I said, I want to collect all your stories from the spouses standpoint, and we're talking 20 women, and they're all in their 80s. Only 3 did it. The others said, I mean, the minute I brought it up, they started crying, and I said, I'm sorry, and they said, it's just too painful. I can't go there. And so really admire them,
For having gone through that too, yeah. You know, we're just about out of time, but and I know there's so much more I want to hear about. I know you're writing down these stories,
Yes.
but I thank you so much for doing what you do, both of you. I mean, it's so important, and it makes me proud to be a Milwaukee Mustang.
Yes.
But I also hear that you often close the show with a song.
I do.
And besides your tap dancing, would you be willing to close this show with
Very
a song?
small, a short song.
Yes, I would love that.
Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything that I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wing. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, and I can fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wing. Thank you, thank you, thank God for you. You are the wind beneath our wings.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have
Thank you.
10 seconds to say
Yes,
something real
yes.
quick. November, I'm bringing in 10 ex-POWs of the Japanese. They're all in their mid-90s. They're coming from all over the United States, the Bataan Death March and everything, and I'm raising money to help pay for 2 dinners. I've got everything else covered. So if you want to donate, go to Remembering America's Heroes website and make a donation, sponsor a meal.
Great. We'll have the information on the screen. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for watching Community Hotline. We'll see you here next week. Good night.
Thank you.